Hi everyone, it's Lewis here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I've cut my hair, as you can see, and also I just watched Wonder Woman 1984, and I was toying with the idea of watching it because it's had, obviously, as most films have, a difficult release this previous year. I think it was originally meant to be out sort of in the early half of last year. Then it got pushed back and pushed back. It was released in UK cinemas where I am in December, but I didn't go and see it because, pandemic. And it was released on VOD over here today. In America, they got it on the HBO Max streaming service for no extra cost, but we didn't get that over here yet. So it was a lot to rent, and I was really toying with the idea because I thought I don't want to pay that much to rent a film, but also, I'm a big comic book fan guy and a big movie guy, so I thought I don't want this to be a big comic book movie that I haven't seen. So I thought, yeah, do you know what? I'll give it a look because I'd heard a lot about it. I heard a few conflicting things, and I don't want to wait anymore. So I put the money down and I watched it, and yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. I'm going to make the first part of this non-spoiler. So if you haven't seen it and you're trying to decide whether or not to rent it or wait for it, then by all means watch the first little bit of this, and then I'll go more into spoilers afterwards if you have watched the film. But I will give a warning. What I will say, I enjoyed it. I will say that much. I had an enjoyable time watching it. It's 2.5 hours, which is quite long for a film. Or any film, but a film of this variety in particular. But I enjoyed it almost in spite of itself. I realised very early on that it's going to be a very silly film. Like, it's kind of obviously the title is 1984, so that's when it's set. So it's kind of a throwback in terms of where it's set and the settings and how everything looks. But it kind of felt like a throwback in the way of it's kind of an old-fashioned superhero movie. Like, it was more like, I don't know, almost like Batman Forever than, what we're used to now kind of thing, which, I don't mind. But there's like a fight scene at the start, which is very almost cartoony. And that kind of made me go, right, okay, this is what this is going to be. And I think it really helped that I went in with very low expectations because I'd not heard good things. If I went in thinking like the first Wonder Woman movie was a bit more serious in tone than this, it's set in World War One. You can't really get much more serious than that. But I think I would have been disappointed. I wouldn't have enjoyed this so much. Had this been a normal year and this been released in the cinema and it was just one of like the 10 films I watched at the cinema that month, then I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it. I would have gone, this is silly. I don't want to watch this anymore. But the fact that it's the first big superhero movie that I've seen in about a year and a half, like new one, like a big budget, broad superhero movie. I don't mean broad as in women, I mean like scope. But that's quite a good joke that I made accidentally there. I say I enjoyed it because I haven't seen a movie like this in a long time, and like I say, it's very silly. So if you do watch it, don't go in expecting it to be too serious. And then we probably will enjoy it. I wouldn't say to plonk out the full rental cost as it is now. Especially if you're like me and you have to fill in these gaps and you have to watch these things, then that's one thing and you've already made your mind up. But if you're just looking for a movie, I wouldn't shell out full cash for this. At least wait until it comes down to like half the price it is now. If not, wait until it's on a streaming service for no extra cost. But I will say that the cast was very good. Like, Gal Gadot really embodies Wonder Woman. Like, I don't think she's a great actress, but then she doesn't really need to be as such. Like, she might be. I don't know. I've not seen much of her outside of these films, but she really does like fit that character very well. And I really like Chris Pine. He's in this as well. That's not a spoiler. It was in the trailers. And Kristen Wiig I like, and Pedro Pascal I really like as well. And I think he was a standout in this for me. But yeah, like I say, if you're undecided about it, don't shell out the full money for it. I mean, if you're going to do that like me, you probably already have, so that's one thing. But yeah, but I'm going to go into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the movie, just turn it off now, come back to it later when you've watched it, even if that's like 6 months from now, I'll be waiting. But yeah, so spoiler territory now. As I said, this movie was absolutely ridiculous in many places. The whole thing about bringing Steve back, and it was like we saw that in the trailer that Steve Trevor was back. I think he died in the first one. He must have done, because I really can't remember the first one that well. But and who thought, I wonder what the reason's going to be for him coming back. Is it time travel? Is this? And they went, nah, it's just magic. Like, okay, it's just a magic thing that they've got. And he wasn't there wasn't really much for him to do in it. He was just kind of running around with Diana. I did like, jumping ahead a bit, I did like the whole thing about him explaining to her flight, and then that kind of become the genesis of her learning how to fly kind of thing. Because we've seen her fly in the films that are set later, but she hadn't quite got that yet. It's all kind of very weak and, just kind of matter of fact. There's a lot of things in this film that are just there to move the plot along rather than to make sense. But I just went with it. I thought, oh, that's cool. Yeah, she can fly now because Steve's gone again. Steve Trevor, by the way, is the greatest comic book character name ever. Steve Trevor, I love it. I really liked Pedro Pascal, as I said earlier. I thought he just towed the line between he could have gone completely ridiculous in this movie and it would have fit, but he still kind of kept it almost grounded a little bit in some ways. But he's such a good actor, and I think he kind of went between those extremes of being kind of just a silly comedic guy at the start to being just an over-the-top villain towards the end. And I liked the whole thing. I liked his whole arc. I liked the way he kind of where he went. I didn't really understand his full motivations. You don't really find that kind of out until the end, but again, it's all kind of here and there, isn't it? It doesn't really matter. Kristen Wiig as Cheetah, I liked her at the start. They did the old comic book trope of nerd with glasses suddenly becomes cool and popular, because you can't wear glasses and people like you. That's just how that's the rule. I wear glasses, by the way, so I can say that. But I kept thinking all the way through, because you saw in the trailer that she becomes Cheetah, like an actual cheetah woman, and Cheetah's like an old Wonder Woman adversary anyway. And I thought, you can get away with just someone wearing cheetah-esque clothing and having abilities rather than having to make her into a full cheetah woman. But we saw from the trailers that happened, and there was no real genesis for that. I was kind of sitting there about 2 hours into the movie going, so why does she become Cheetah? There was no reference other than there was a few animal print things, and she said she likes Diana's shoes or something. And then there was a model of a cat that I assume was a cheetah in her office, and it was just, yep. And then it was just like, yep, so you're going to become a cheetah woman now because magic. But it is what it is. It's, like I said, nothing in this movie I took too seriously. I like the rules of physics with the lasso. I liked it when she lassoed a bullet. And when the scene in Egypt with the cars, when she lassoed a rocket, which then made her go really fast. And I liked it when she was flying and using the lasso for momentum, but she lassoed nothing from what I could see, and then she lassoed lightning, and I was just like, this is great. Like, there's no rules here. It's just, you can lasso whatever, and it's indeterminate length because magic. And she just happened to have golden armor laying around that had a vague backstory to it, that she just kind of went, yeah, I'll pop this on now. Like, what for? Don't know. Just thought it's there. I might as well use it. Looks cool. We'll sell more toys that way. But yeah, anyway, it was just all very, very silly, but I enjoyed it, so I really can't complain. I think there was one other point I was going to make. I can't quite remember what it was now, but I'd say I did like Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord, and I liked when he did his whole thing with the president, and then he went, oh, what's this? And they were like, oh, we've got this satellite thing where you can talk to anyone in the world, and he was like, that's really handy because that fits my plan really well, give me some of that. And that was it. It's just, it all just kind of fit together. Like, they turn a corner and it's like, oh, there's something else that advances the plot. What's the reason for that? Don't know, doesn't matter. But yeah, I will say as well, I did really like the mid-credits scene with Linda Carter. I thought that was great. I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't expect that. And she still looks great, bless her. That was really cool. That was probably my favourite bit of the whole film, was the little Linda Carter cameo in the mid-credits. But yeah, like I said in my non-spoiler review, like I didn't hate it. I quite enjoyed it. I had a good time, almost in spite of itself. I laughed out loud several times. Probably not when I was meant to, but yeah. So for a movie with very little jokes in it, it was very, very funny. But not really intentionally. But like I say, it's nice to see a big superhero film, even if it was a bit silly. I'd like to have seen it at the cinema, I guess, but like I say, if I had done, it was just a normal world, then I probably wouldn't have thought that much of it. But yeah, anyway, that is my official review of Wonder Woman 1984. Please leave a like and subscribe. If you have any thoughts yourself, if you thought it was as funny as I did, please leave your comments. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.